Things are heating up fast for Tesla and Tesla stock. Elon Musk made a series of announcements. First, he said full self-driving version 14 will start rolling out early wide release next week, with updates coming when until at some point the car will feel almost like it's sentient. Second, he said they've been able to get the cycle time to produce Cybercabs to under 10 seconds, and the patents are open source for other automakers bold enough to try. And finally, he said it should not be a secret that he's turning Tesla into an AI powerhouse with robotics, autonomy, and data. The setup for Tesla's next wave is here. And we got the bulls here with us today. We got Tesla boomer mama, Alexandra Mertz, the queen. We got Cern Basher, the bot bull, and we have Jeff Lutz, the rational bull. Welcome, everybody.
Hey, Herbert.
Hey, Herbert.
Hi, Herbert. Where are you?
My internet crashed, and so the last 5 minutes I've had to just scramble, and this is my reading room, and trying to look more like Jeff. You know, look at that I'm intelligent. I've got my my books in the back. Let's get started, though. We've got so many news information from Elon today. He dropped a number of posts. And let's get started with the first one that I thought was quite interesting. And he said FSD version 14 is launching. He did say, though, that it is early wide release. So I'm assuming that that means that it's not everybody quite yet. But then he did say that in the next 2 weeks, it's going to be the next version 14.1. And then at some point, version 14.2, which will be, he called it sentient. Jeff, how did you interpret that big news? The company and the product. I don't look at the quarterly stock movement.
A very realistic bull, questioning certain decisions.
The rational bull. I enjoy listening to bears.
Looking for the red flags. You're supposed to react.
The longer term opportunity for Tesla is like no other company that I've ever seen.
You know, it's basically holding to the schedule of how these releases have come out in the past. If you remember how version 13 came out, there was a lot of big discussion around version 13 last fall. We had the We Robot event where it was actually running in the vehicles, but not available for users yet, or consumers yet. And typically these releases need 1 or 2, sometimes 3-point releases to clean it up and make sure if they find anything as it goes across a lot of vehicles, they can take care of it rapidly. But I'm seeing some of the posts that Elon's making that people are commenting how well V13 is working in Australia and so forth. He's like, that's great. It's not even V14 yet. So he's clearly excited about this release and its capability. I'm looking for major use cases to be closed, things that were challenged. First off, version 13 has made monumental progress, but there were things that need to be resolved, that, you know, like not entering bus lanes and bike lanes, things like that, parking lots. There's just use cases that need to be solved. So I'm looking for closure, you know, getting that, you know, that venerable feature complete, even though the release is always going to continuously improve. I'm looking for closure on these major releases, because then we'll know the gap is really closed for it to be a viable robo-taxi and to get to unsupervised. So this is a really exciting time. This is a really exciting transition point. There's millions of vehicles out there, and I think this is a really exciting time for the company. It hasn't traditionally been some, you know, trigger in terms of coverage of the company and so forth, but you are seeing analysts wake up and really comment more directly and in higher frequency about how well FSD is working for them.
Yeah, did you guys notice that Elon time was not Elon time? He said that 14 was going to drop by the end of the month. It's still September, and it actually is looking like it's going to drop. We know employees have this. Is this not the most important catalyst? What do you think, Alexandra?
Yeah, I mean, I feel version 13 is already so fabulous that I can't even imagine that this would be a real step change, but apparently it's going to be. So if it is, yes, this is something we're waiting for, because it would mean that we get to unsupervised. If we get to unsupervised in certain areas, Austin, maybe California, before the year end, that will be a major step change. There is no doubt about it. If there is suddenly the public's understanding that you can be in the backseat of your car, or you can be on your phone doing your emails while you're being driven, that will be a major change, yes.
Yeah. And then what'd you think, Cern?
Well, I was pleased to see it, actually. A little pleasantly surprised. Although my expectations as to who gets the early wide release, my understanding of that is that might just be to a few, select testers, which is fine. I mean, it's progress. But yeah, we're all excited to see what version 14 is like, right? Version 13 is amazing. People in Australia are discovering for the first time how amazing FSD is, and they haven't had to experience all these other versions. And so now they're with us, waiting for their upgrade to version 14, and so we're all very excited about it.
Good. Okay, so that's the big news. FSD 14. We might go revisit Robotaxi rollout again, but let's get to the other big topic. Did you see that, Jeff, where he posted saying about how the cycle time for Cybercab if possible, it can be under 10 seconds, and that is the most critical thing. Like the factory is the product. You're the guy. How did you interpret that post?
Yeah, I mean, this is fairly consistent with what Elon has said before about Cybercab production and anything moving to this unboxed model. This isn't an incremental step in process time. Just, I mean, for everybody in device assembly, when you're doing mechanical, 3D assembly of devices at all different sizes, process time is one of the biggest factors, followed by, there's a number of them, but if I ever kind of rank them, process time is huge, and then number of operations, and then the output per square meter. Those are a couple of very important things, and the unboxed model gets after all of those metrics. Tesla is a very metric driven manufacturing and engineering culture, and that's how you get factory revisions, manufacturing system revisions. They treat the factory, the gigafactory, like it's a product. That's why every talking about energy, every factory is going to be, of greater efficiency in terms of the megapack factories. And of course, the vehicle production. We've seen this model. We've seen where Model Y started over 40, 50 seconds of process time, and it's somewhere in the low 30s, in some places even in the high 20s. So this is a big move, getting down to sub 10 seconds. This is fair, this is transformational. It's going to be huge from a cost structure perspective.
Jeff, do you think that have you gotten any sign? Is Cybercab on track?
Okay, this isn't a product schedule milestone per se, but the fact that you're seeing a lot of the submissions for IP before things are actually exposed to suppliers and partners, that's a fairly good sign. I mean, the Cybercab unboxed assembly process was submitted and revealed a week or two ago. So yeah, I think it's definitely getting closer. These products of this level of complexity are always going to have this top 5 issues that they're going to have to go in and resolve. I think color matching and just getting through this reaction injection molding process for these panels and getting the colors to match across different substrates is going to be a challenge. Show goes on. Yeah, and I think the sub 10 second cycle time, it won't be there at launch. It's going to take them a period of time to get to that. But if they get to that, and those are the kind of the lifetime economics of building a Cybercab, it's going to be something special. They've already deleted major capital cost centers in the factory with the manufacturing flow of the product. So I think they're taking a fairly big risk with this approach of eliminating the paint booth and some of the materials that they've selected. This is not just because it's people confuse lower cost and lower technology. This is actually going to be fairly substantial from a tech perspective. They can achieve this kind of cost structure on a vehicle like that, and of course pass all the safety, reliability requirements. So this is a very meaningful jump in a reduction in cost structure that they'll get to with this. So it's a big deal.
Yeah, the reason I bring that up is, do you guys agree that the FSD and Cybercab, right? Just ignore the robots for now, are the 2 most important catalysts, the most important thing that Tesla needs to be showing that they're making progress on. and that's what we're following. So far, I agree with you. We're not seeing at this point any delay in Cybercab. It's hard to say, right? We don't know anything there, but at least we don't hear a major delay. And then FSD 14, it came a lot sooner than most of us think, and hopefully it's going to be as good as he's promising. Do you guys agree with that, Alexandra? Did these two are the most important
14
things
it
for
is.
Tesla investors?
FSD
14.
14. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
FSD 14. Yeah. So yeah, I mean those are, at least in the short term, I'd say 3 to 6 months, the major catalysts. Obviously, if we get to unsupervised FSD, that is going to be the big step change, because for non-Tesla passionate people, you tell them FSD 14.1, 14.2, they don't even have a clue what this is all about, right?
Yeah.
But if you tell the general public now that this is unsupervised, that's going to be a major change. And then the rollout, I think the rollout of the taxi services, there was a certain, I think his name was Jonathan, who did a very nice chart 2-3 days ago. You actually pointed it out to us, how they are progressing in all the different towns. Maybe we can play that in when your editors are working on this. That's showing good progress. And then once production of the Cybercab is launched, which we expect for the second quarter of 2026, there you have the next one. But I mean, there's so many coming. There's so many catalysts coming. It's and the biggest of all, obviously, the bots. I wonder whether we're seeing at the shareholder meeting the bots, the new version 3 bots. That would be
We're debating that one.
Great sign.
So yeah,
Herbert has a passionate take on this one.
I do. For the three of
what's the passionate take on that one?
We'll come back to it, right? I'll share that. But let's finish this conversation off a little bit. Do we, because FSD 14 just dropped now, which is September, and then we're expecting it next week or 2 weeks, given his timeline. Are you FSD 14? Do you guys think that, are we still on the track that they will remove the safety rider in the Austin still in January or New Year? Or do you guys, have you moved that forward thinking maybe it can happen sooner? Yeah.
Safety monitor, not safety driver.
I call them safety riders because I like Jeff's, he calls them safety riders instead of safety monitors. I like that. So I've been repeating.
Oh, I understood drivers. Okay,
safety riders, yeah. Have you guys moved your projection on when they'll remove that?
It doesn't matter to me at all. I don't know. Jeff and Cern, is it important for you when the safety monitor called safety rider is stepping out of the car?
I think from my perspective,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, from my perspective, obviously the sooner they do it, the better. But in reality, they should do it when they feel like they're ready. Is version 14.2 going to be the version? That remains to be seen. It would be a colossal mistake for Tesla to remove the safety riders out of the vehicles before they really can. And only Tesla knows when it's safe to do so. But certainly, as a Tesla fan, as a shareholder, obviously the sooner the better. But the company will know when it's time.
I agree with that. And this is something that's been fabricated in fintech and retail. It's not real. When you look at the lifetime economics of this undertaking, this will be many decimal points to the right and not a factor. But it's this moment's factor, because we talk about this stuff, this is a 24/7, whatever CNN cable news cycle. So we talk about it a lot, and it's been fabricated to be an issue. And of course, it would be representative if Tesla decides it's time to remove it. Well, we've achieved another level of maturity. That's fine. But in terms of economics, in terms of how you launch a safety critical product, I would rather they stay in until they've settled into most major markets. And it's also so a lot of the states have requirements for there to be a monitor in for a certain number of miles until that service has been qualified locally too. So I think people just need to move past this. I think it will be a milestone. I think people will react to it, but it doesn't have the economic bearing that people think it does. Just critically think on this one. The right thing for them to do is leave them in as long as they need to, which Tesla knows what they need to do.
Yeah. So I think it sounds like we're all still saying and as late as possible. We don't need it to happen sooner, but maybe January, right? Given the fact that FSD 14 dropped now, if it's dropped now, right, we all say that
Q1,
it'll take
sure.
at least a couple months for them to test it to make sure it's good. They don't have to remove it until they feel sure, like really certain about it, and so maybe January, right? Q1. Okay. Yeah. So let's. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the way to think about it is FSD 14.1 or 14.0, 14.1 could there could be some regression relative to the version 13 that's been under point release for almost a year. So people should just understand that the thing that worked perfectly every time with 13, 14 brand new model may offer a bunch of new features, but that first release there may be some bugs. That's why Elon has set the expectation of a 14.1 and a 14.2 to clean these things up. But just people should realize that we're probably going to get a huge jump in functionality. We're probably going to get a huge jump in ride comfort, and it's probably going to be many times safer, but that will take a period of time to get to.
Herbert, just to go back to the discussion about cycle time, and of course, relating to that is the patent that they filed for the True Unbox Process 2.0. And I wanted to ask Jeff your thoughts about this. Elon finished his comment. He said, by the way, anyone is welcome to copy it. Our patents are open source. And there's a lot of sort of, or some anxiety among some Tesla shareholders sort of feeling like that Tesla shouldn't be giving this away anytime soon. That why give your automotive competitors, particularly in China, the opportunity to catch up to you that much quicker? And I just wanted to give you an opportunity perhaps to share your thoughts on that as to why Tesla does this.
Well, there's a difference, but it's a good question. There's a difference between the availability of a patent, which, it's going to be public, and how you manage it. There's different ways to manage it in terms of how they're revealed. There's a difference between a patent and design know-how and process know-how and business know-how, and they're not going to reveal that. That I can pretty much guarantee. So you can glean only so much from a patent, but in terms of the design and process know-how for how to get there and how to achieve it, that's where a lot of the secret sauce is. So they're not gonna reveal how they get the color consistency for reaction injection molding. They're not going to do that. But yeah, they can reveal patents for some of these overall broader, grander processes. By the way, in manufacturing, there are several approaches to doing system integration in a factory. There's linear series, single piece flow line processes. There's a cellular type process where it's kind of various cells in the factory and product coming together. There's multiple approaches to. That's why you saw the Ford presentation of kind of these three or four branches coming together. Companies look at this all the time. What companies should be focused on is not necessarily what that drawing looks like on paper, but what is the process time? How many stations are involved? What is the capital efficiency? What is the labor efficiency? What is the output per square meter? Those are the things they should be focused on. And whatever gets those numbers optimized, make it look however you want. So I think what Tesla is able to do that others aren't is they're not as risk averse as other companies. They will rip the whole thing up and go to something new, factory, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0. They will up rev that, and they will do that quicker and more freer than others will do. This is, I can go on for a long time. I'll just close it here. This is why if you open up an iPhone or any of your favorite smartphone brands and you look at how they're assembled today versus 5 years ago, you're not going to find a lot of differences.
Okay. Let's go back to Catalyst. One of the other posts that Elon made was something like he said that these, people thought that the stock would fall because of the expiring $7,500 federal EV credit. Who knew? Because the stock went up, right? Earlier, Alexandra, you said that there's a whole bunch of catalysts. Why don't we go through each of these catalysts as you see them by date? Which is coming first, what's coming next, and so
By
forth.
date.
Sure.
I mean, I think obviously the deliveries of Q3, which are due next week, are going to be a catalyst because they're going to be good. The question is, will it be 470, 480, 500, even more than 500? We'll see. The next one that I hope still comes next week is the announcement of the affordable Tesla. So we'll see whether that happens. I think if that gets out, that's going to be a major catalyst. If it comes out beginning of October, it will still be a major catalyst. I will just be sitting on my cash longer, but there you go. The next catalysts are probably going to be the financials of Q3, because with all these deliveries, we should actually see very good financials in Q3. That's I think just the day you're coming back from your vacation. I just want to let everybody know that you're going to be gone for 2 weeks, and the three of us are going to take over.
Yes.
And we're going to have a good time. We're going to have a really jolly good time. So please watch us in October.
Be careful, please.
I mean, he is going to regret this, go on this vacation, but that's okay. So anyway, so when you're back, we will have the financials of Q3. I think that's going to be an interesting earnings call, because it is just 2 weeks before the then shareholder meeting. And by then, maybe version 14.0 is now with a larger version of the public. Maybe we're already at 14.1 and have the first iteration of improvements. So that may all play into it. And then obviously comes the shareholder meeting. So if I can address a little bit the shareholder meeting, or you want to do that later, then tell me. But I do believe
let's finish off the catalyst first, and then we'll do that next. Yeah.
Okay. So the shareholder meeting beginning of November. Then depending on the rollout of the affordable model, we might actually see a very decent fourth quarter. And you have to understand, lots of car sales are not happening in China. China doesn't care about the going away of a tax credit in the United States. And those numbers are at the moment in such a progression that there's good hope for Q4 out of China. And I think actually even Europe is recovering. So Q4 may be a very good quarter, not as good as Q3, obviously, with the tax credit expiring in the US. And then new catalysts are going to be the new models in next year, and they should all be coming in the first half of next year. And so I think there are going to be many, many things happening in the next 9 months. But as you know, because we've gone through this hundreds of times, I do believe it's the second half of 2026 that's going to be actually the confirmation phase, where we're having, the financial results of everything that is preparing now, that we can see it finally in hard dollars in Tesla's books.
Great list. That's a perfect list. I think that was wonderful. Cern, do you think that these are actual catalysts? Some people are saying that, well, when the delivery numbers are shared in the October 3rd, it's already built in. Everybody's the part of the reason why the stock has jumped now is because they're expecting higher numbers. If the October 20th financials dropped, it's already built in. People are expecting good numbers there. The annual shareholder meeting, it's already built in, because we already see the definitive proxy. We know Elon's comp plan. Yes, we don't know that it's actually officially voted, but it's going to be built in already. And then you can keep saying the same thing as you go through each of these catalysts. What's your analysis of that?
Well, historically speaking, Tesla stock does extremely well around the quarterly production and delivery report, either up or down. Sorry, when I say extremely well, it can be extremely volatile, positive or negative around that date. Also, it can have a lot of volatility around the earnings announcement. Those typically are the two periods when Tesla stock really moves one direction or another. Now, there's been some other events that have happened in Tesla's history, kind of one-time things like getting added to the S&P 500, or 3 months before not being added to the S&P 500. So there's different events like that can cause some big volatility in the stock. So I wouldn't expect the annual meeting to be one of those periods unless they decide to reveal something, which traditionally they haven't. Maybe this time's an exception, and that would be great. But really, yeah, for me, it's around that production and delivery report and the quarterly earnings announcement. That's when most of the market-moving information would be revealed.
You didn't answer the question. Is it going to go up or going to go down? Is it built in, not built in?
Oh, I think that, I think for Q3, I think there's probably some potential for upside, in my opinion, based on what I've seen. For the quarterly earnings announcement, I think depending on what the company reveals about the future, there's some potential upside there. I think we're in this kind of strange phase right now where, the market may have certain expectations about robotaxi rollout. And I could see perhaps the company being a little bit more cautious than that. Although certainly Elon in his public comments has been pretty aggressive in terms of saying, I want to have 50% of the US population serviced by robotaxi, by the end of the year or the beginning of next year. I don't think the market expects that yet. So my estimate would be that there's some positive potential, but there's always some negative surprises as well. That's also possible.
Yeah. Jeff, you were going to jump in?
Well, I mean, I think you may get a catalyst just from his vote being approved. Maybe that's the day before the meeting, the day of the meeting. Who knows? Or maybe it'll be built in prior. But that itself could be a catalyst. I don't think we're going to get product announcements. We don't typically get them at Investor Day, but you may get some technology announcements. And if there's something, or if there's something substantial with the bot, maybe there's, placement of 100 of them starting in January in a Tesla factory at this address. There could be there could be something there. I do expect to see at some point next year, maybe in the latter half, hundreds of them being placed in a Tesla factory. And that is a big, big, big change for the manufacturing world. I can't overemphasize that. Of course, the economics don't kick in until the volume kicks in. That's clear. No one's trying, but this is a monumental change in how anything is made. And, these things being lit up and actually being really used versus these bizarre YouTube videos all over the world to raise capital, which is what a lot of these companies are doing. Not all of them, by the way, but I think we clearly know the differentiators for Tesla's bot, and if they're able to bring that AI brain, that hand, and Tesla manufacturing and engineering together to make that, I think it's going to be a very special thing. So, in terms of catalysts, I think Alexander and Cern named them off really well. I think it could be his vote. It could be something related to a major milestone with the bot. We'll see. It could be a partnership. I mean, there's a number of different things that could happen over the next couple of months. Elon he's focused. He's grinding. He's at, multiple Tesla locations throughout the week. So I would expect some of the activity to pick up too in terms of those catalysts.
Sorry, Herbert, real quick. My wildcard catalyst for Q4 is FSD licensing announcement.
I don't believe that.
Oh my God, how many times have I heard you guys say this?
I know, I'm completely off that train.
I haven't been a big believer in that, actually. I thought that ship had sailed, but given the public comments by the Hyundai CEO, I think actually it's still on the table.
We'll see. I mean, they are the best candidate because they have a lot of EVs, and I mean that would be a good one.
Yeah,
it was actually the one I had on my list. Remember, Herbert? Just to stress that I was right.
You picked Hyundai. You were a year ago. So the Hyundai chairman was asked at the automotive big conference, and he was asked, who is the person who has made the most impact to the automotive industry globally ever? Is it Ford? Is it Toyota? And Hyundai chairman said it's Elon Musk. And so maybe you're right, sir. The number one catalyst that everyone I've talked to, and I haven't heard it from you three yet, is people believe that the biggest catalyst is going to be when Tesla removes the safety rider, the safety monitor from the car. Do you guys think that that's true?
I said to it earlier, I don't believe at all that we will even remember that in the initial phase there were safety drivers and safety riders. I tell you, in a year or two, somebody will watch this episode and will say she's right, because this was just the rollout period. In the rollout period, you do things for safety reasons or for regulatory reasons. And then when it's over, it's over. And whether it's over in September or in January or in May, no importance whatsoever. It will be over one day. That's the only certainty we need to have. And it will be over at the right moment for us shareholders, because you don't want them to end it too early. You want to end it when they're very comfortable with the situation. And that's just it. And it will actually end, other than regulatory reasons, it will end everywhere they can simultaneously, because it's a software question, right? When is the system perfect enough that you don't need them anymore? And then you don't need them in LA and in San Francisco and in Phoenix and in Vegas and in Austin and in Brooklyn and in Chicago and in whatever, except if these states or these cities have other rules that you still have to respect. And that's it. I don't even see, why this is still a topic. I think people should just get over it. Doesn't matter. And the speculation that we need 200 of them or we need 5,000 of them, what the heck?
I think from the perspective of, is it a catalyst? I think it could be, because it's being perceived right now as a limiting force on Tesla's ability to scale robotaxi, right? And of course it is. You don't want to have to hire, 1 million safety riders, right? So yes, in that sense, to answer your question, is it a catalyst? I think it will be.
Yeah, it could. But these are pretty lower skilled jobs. I don't think it takes them months to hire these. I think once they post them, I think they're able to recruit them pretty quickly. But there's an art and a science to safety critical launch, and the science is the data, and honestly computing the probability of any incident or a serious incident. And the art of it is what kind of media coverage you're getting, what kind of sentiment you're getting, and what's your install base need to be to where if something happens, these things are already normalized in the landscape of society as like, okay, these things are generally good. They're all over the place. And if there's a problem, it tends to happen less with these things than me driving or other people driving. Like there's taxi cabs getting in accidents and Ubers all the time, but these things are they're out there, they're everywhere, and they're generally safe. If it happens, it happens. That's where we need to get to. You don't get there from an install base of 10 to 12 or 15 or 20 or 100. They're going to have to get the install base up fairly high. And if they're doing it with safety monitors or safety riders, I think that's totally fine. I agree with Alexander. We're not going to remember the date that happened because it's not really important. I also agree with Cern that it has been fabricated into this very important thing in the market, and there probably will be some response to it, but it's an art and a science, and Tesla's got to manage both of those, and I think they are managing it very well. So we'll see how it goes. I think they're very clear about their emphasis on safety. I think it's coming out, and it's a great thing to see.
Okay. Alessandra, can you give us an update on the annual shareholder meeting? Where are we at now? I know people are voting. I voted. Tell us what's happening.
Well, if you voted, everything is good then. Okay. So
Herbert's votes are in. I voted.
Herbert's voted. But you're right. I feel so. Now we're recording this on Thursday. The definitive proxy came out last Thursday. And I feel this first week went as smooth as it could have been. Don't be fooled, that's not the end of it. But by Monday, Tuesday, we saw the first US major banks and brokers open up voting on proxyvote.com. And that part went very smoothly, except for the fact that we killed the website on Monday evening because there were so many Tesla shareholders voting that the site crashed, but it was back up in the early morning of Tuesday. So I'm very happy with what happened initially. Lots of people knew what they were doing. And I just want to recall to all viewers today, if you have multiple accounts, you need to vote multiple times. So if you have an IRA, 401k, brokerage account, a margin account, whatever, you'll have to vote 3-4 times. Every time the same list, and you will receive different links. Careful, some of the banks, they stack them into one email. So check that you checked really through all of the different links that those emails give. So I'm very happy with the participation rate. It is clearly up. I'm checking every evening, and every day there are another 10 to 15% that were able to vote on all their accounts. So that's my followers. So this is still a small sample, but I think it's a good indication of the trend. Another good indication of the trend is that Elon doesn't post much anymore on voting. And I think that is because they are quite happy with what they see. Because do remember, companies, they see on a minute by minute basis what is coming in, right? They see exactly where they are with those proxy organizers. So that is good. Now comes the international part, right? So these were the US parts I spoke about. The international Tesla shareholders have been very good at getting better organized in the fact that those that could move their funds to brokers that enable voting from international locations did that. A lot of people moved, and so I feel a real relief compared to 2024 that there's just this huge chunk of people that are now just able to vote and happy to vote and participate. So that's very good. There are people that are stuck in certain retirement accounts or capital guarantee accounts or whatever who still have issues voting, but at least the Scandinavian banks, where there is a lot of Tesla holdings, don't estimate the Scandinavians, the South Koreans, the Japanese. There's a lot of Tesla holdings there. I recall it again. Tesla is the stock with the most retail shareholders. We estimated at least at 10 million retail shareholders. This is enormous. There's nobody else out there. So organizing this is quite a job. So anyway, lots of the banks, especially Scandinavia and the UK, the banks made a major effort in making it easier. So not all the banks, but the major banks there have made it easier. So first impression, it's easier. Now comes the period, the last 5-6 weeks that we're left in sorting out all those that still cannot. So it's still tedious. You will still hear me. You will still see a lot of my posts because now comes the moment where we have to find those that still cannot vote and understand what it is. Some of the banks, even US banks for retirement accounts, because it's a different system of proxy voting, need a couple more weeks. So if it's just a matter of, well, you'll have to wait another 2-3 weeks to get the material, fair enough, we know about it. You just have to be patient. Others, banks and account holders have set up their accounts that they don't want to get these proxy notifications by email, but by snail mail, by courier, by letter, right? And so that obviously takes some more time. So people actually just now realize they go into their account settings and see that they had set up their accounts to get them as physical letters. So they haven't received them yet. So those problems are easy problems. And then there are the more complicated problems. For example, we have at the moment a couple of people that have with interactive brokers issues that not all their shares show up yet. It's not a margin account. Some others are learning that margin account don't give them voting rights, right? So I mean, I thought we'd gone through that education, Herbert, last year with everybody, but no, not everybody has listened. So comes now this tedious moment. We are trying to help everybody we can to get to a vote. Also, there is a proxy organizer firm that Tesla hired that people can reach out to. So there is, it is much better organized from Tesla, from the retail shareholders. And then the most important, obviously, is that because we're in Texas, Elon can vote. So if you consider Elon and Kimball's vote, we're at least at 14.5%. If you consider now that retail has started voting en masse and we're about 35%, so let's say if we get to 25% of those to have voted, that would be great. We know that we have obviously ARK Invest and Barron funds that will be voting with management. So this is, on a good trend. The last thing I want to just point out is institutions, the big institutions, Vanguard, Fidelity, all these, BlackRock, whatever, they vote in the last afternoon. They will vote on November the 5th in the afternoon. So the big chunk of votes will come at the very, very last moment. They consider it a fiduciary duty to wait until the last moment to hear all about it, to see, all of Elon's posts and all of the board and whatever else, right? Everything that could be considered, to wait until the very last moment to vote. They may have made up their mind, but we will not see those votes, and Tesla will not see those votes until the 5th. So why do I explain that? If we feel that Elon doesn't talk much about voting yet, it means we actually don't need the institutions. We don't need to wait for the institutions. Or if they have good indications from those institutions, they may actually know already. So that's all I know at the moment. Prudently confident, and standing by to help all those. We're having clusters in Japan who can't vote. We're having always a huge cluster in Germany who can't vote because the Germans just want to make it difficult. I mean, it is a deliberate protectionist measure by the Germans to tell their German bank clients that, oh, you can't vote on anything else that's not the German stock. Right? I mean, it's crazy. They tell people go into Porsche rather than Tesla. That's where we are. It's as crazy as it gets. We're having only a little cluster left in the UK. We're seeing some weird things happening in Canada, where the Canadian banks don't reach out proactively to the Canadian account holders. So if you're in Canada and listening to us and still don't have the proxy, please take your phone, call your broker, ask for the control numbers. That seems to be the only way to get them. Or if you're set up to get it in snail mail, then be patient until you get the letter in your mail.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Alexandra. Yeah, you do so much work, and I know you're getting a lot of DMs, but please, if you guys have a question, you're a Tesla retail shareholder, you have a question, either DM, of course, Alexandra, me. I'm getting a lot as well. We'll help you. And then you can also send a message to Travis Axelrod, the investor relations people at Tesla. They've set up all sorts of ways to educate you to know what to do and to help resolve problems. Yeah, still very important that retail vote. Very important, because it's not just, right? It's not just one or two. There's 12 different proposals. Yeah. Okay. 14 different proposals.
Like FSD 14. It's the number.
FSD 14
And
is
I
so
would just
important.
add, and Herbert, I would just add, and Alexandra, you mentioned this, I think, this week, and I thought was a really good comment, that it's great that people are sharing that they voted online, but do not share your control numbers as part of that screenshot.
Yeah.
That is correct. Because anybody who sees a control number can go into the control number account and change your votes, and you don't want to do that. So best is to obviously not screenshot it, but if you did screenshot it, delete it. And then if it has been up there for quite a while, make sure every day that nobody changed them. And at least on November 5th, check the last time that it is really the way you wanted to vote. And then I always get the questions of how should I vote this and that, especially point 6 and 7, because there's no board recommendation. I pinned my votes. I can't give any recommendations, but you can see my votes and then you can make up your mind. And below that pin is a whole thread of why I decided for each point what I decided on. And actually, there's a funny little story, because on point 6, there were a lot of people going, oh, no, it should be 4. Alexandra, you're against. I'm very affirmative that I'm against. And then came a SEC filing, I think it was on Wednesday, of my old friend, Mr. Sheridan. We talked about him before. He's the one who since 2014 is doing all these activist shareholder proposals that always get voted down. And so he recalled his story and why he would like that a simple majority is enough to do his activist things. And obviously, I don't want him to do his activist things. And this filing of his that Tesla was obligated to file with the SEC so that it is public just shows again how motivated it is, and so it shows me again how much I am against it. So please read all that. I posted it.
It's very dangerous.
It is. Honestly, there are only 3 topics for which we still have a supermajority necessary. And the supermajority means it has to be 66.6% of outstanding shares. That is very difficult, but we did it last year for Texas, so it is doable. But that is a good threshold to keep Elon safe. So please vote against, or listen to why I vote against, and then you decide what you want to do.
Okay. Thank you, Alexandra. So November 6th, the big annual shareholder meeting. Knock on wood. It sounds like things are looking good. What do you guys expect to happen on November 6th? Like what normally happens at these shareholder meetings?
Have you been to a shareholder meeting, Howard?
I don't even remember. I thought I was there with you, but I don't know.
There you go. He has anorexia up there. But anyway, so and we've been together too, at least, Jeff, right? So usually they open the doors at 11 o'clock. It starts at 3 p.m. When you enter, you have access to the entry hall, which is impressive. It's so big, and they usually have, a merch stand where you can purchase some specific merch that they do for this day. And then there's water. Outside, there's some food trucks. There's a zone always tucked away. Last year it was actually huge for the chairs on which you're going to sit once the presentation starts at 3 o'clock. Last year we also had our banner. Remember the Tesla retail shareholder banner? We're considering doing a part two of that, and currently working with some people on designs and ideas, and we're going to run a couple of polls in the next couple of days to see. And I actually contacted Tesla IR to make sure we can do it before we spend all the money. Anyway, so that is that. And then they organized in previous years, and I'm sure they do it again, factory tours, because the factory is just behind the next big wall, right? And so you could queue up and at different sessions, because on your badge you have then a letter that defines in which lot you are time-wise to do those factory tours, and always very impressive. I always try to be with Joe Beckmeyer, because he knows it so well, and then we just ignore what the Tesla employee wonderfully explains, but we just ignore that because he knows so much more, and then he explains me all that. And so that keeps you busy, and then obviously you meet all your Tesla friends, and you do selfies, and you talk to everybody. I mean, it's fabulous, and those 3-4 hours pass actually very quickly. The only issue is that you can't really sit down anywhere. You're already tired by the time you finally can sit on those chairs, and then that happens. And then when 3 o'clock comes, then you have a formal shareholder meeting. So you have Travis usually coming, you have usually one of the legal teams coming, and introducing, what it's all about, and announcing the vote results. And you have for every shareholder proposal somebody, the shareholder, standing up, taking the mic, or coming over a Zoom call, whatever it is, telling for 2 minutes, I think they always have the mic for 2 minutes, why they want people to vote on it. And then the Tesla representative, Tesla lawyer, announces the result. And so it's really great, because our investment of XAI is going to be presented by, I think his name is Stephen Hawk, who was one of the first ones to submit his letter with his account statement to Tesla, and was chosen to bring that forward. So he will be there, and he will have his 2 minutes to explain that, and then we'll hear the result, and so on until we're at proposal 14. We'll have all those results, and once that is over, usually Elon comes, and then Elon speaks for an hour, and if everything goes well, people can actually ask him questions. Everybody's queuing up behind those mics and hoping they get a turn to ask him questions. Then last year, once it was over, he actually had CNBC live there, and Faber interviewed him right after that one. And then we all get bussed back into the security area, because there's quite high security to get in. And usually there's a nice party in Austin to celebrate. I mean, it's a fabulous day. I really hope we can all go again.
And then we will know, because last year, or the last vote, Elon actually announced the night before that right, he will know the night before.
He waited from midnight Eastern, because that's the last moment when those institutionals can vote. Okay. And then he showed the two charts, and that's why I understood finally what's happening with the institutions at the end, because it showed how well people voted initially for the first initial couple of things. Then it went flat, because once people voted, they're done. Then usually you have a couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks, where only the last ones come in, and then you had the last uptick, and we won the reapproval of the reinstatement of 2018. And we won moving out of Delaware. And I think people now understand. I told you all that last critical. Year, but moving out of Delaware was the most important of all. And you can see it. You can see it in this year's, you can see it. And the other thing I want to also reassure everybody who this year cannot vote, because there will still be thousands and thousands who are with the wrong broker or whatever. It is so worth still changing of broker so you can vote next year. There is so much more to come. There is so much more that's not decided. For example, I was asked a couple of times, the first one to ask me was actually Warren Redlich, whether we will need a second vote on XAI. It could very well be. I mean, obviously, I have no way of seeing the future. But what we do this year is just an advisory to the board saying, here are all the shareholders. If we win proposal 7 with a large majority, we cannot be ignored. Now, please sit down. You may not want this, but now please sit down and consider that your shareholders asked you to do it. Now, again, they can very well still decide that we don't want to do it, but at least they have now a strong demand that was brought forward in an official shareholder meeting. Then, and the way we phrased it with Amy, it was really Amy phrasing it, was very generic. We gave them a blank check saying, we want to invest into XAI, now do your job. And doing that job could be a multitude of things. It could be a share swap. It could be, how do you value XAI? It will be all of those things, right? And then the board will decide without Elon, because he's a conflicted party here, because he's in both structures heavily involved. And they will decide how they want to go forward, because our proposal is not precise on how, because we wanted to give them all that latitude. The risk we were taking in giving them a very, very detailed, precise instructions was that they would say, well, we don't want this one, right? So we wanted to give them the whole spectrum of possibilities, and now they will decide. And it could very well be that there may be an extraordinary shareholder meeting called in the very near future, once they have decided how exactly they want to do, and we will have to vote on that. So please, if you realize this year again that you cannot vote, or if you finally understood that on your margin account, even though you're not in margin, you cannot vote, or all these things that, that's this learning curve. And we'll do a lot of surveys to help you find, the good brokers like we did last year. And obviously last year's list is still available. Then look at what your fellow Tesla shareholders are doing who can vote, and with which banks they're happy with, and then move. Because there will be some countries and some big names that just don't want to allow voting on US shares. And this may be the way for you to do it. And there are so many important votes still coming up.
Thank you, Alexander. All right. Well, one thing I know is going to happen on that day, annual shareholder meeting, is there will be bots dancing. Elon's confirmed that. He's repeated it a few times, but I think it's going to be Gen 2. I do not think that they're going to reveal Gen 3. I really don't want them to reveal Gen 3. I don't think that they should do it until they're ready to produce. And I don't think they'll be ready to produce these bots until first quarter of next year at the earliest, and small quantities. So I don't know, for people who are getting their hopes up that they're going to see the new version, Gen 3. I know that I'm one of the few minority who's saying this. Most people think that they'll see the Gen 3 on that, but that was my hot take on that one. I don't think that we're going to see the Gen 3.
I agree with you.
Yeah,
I take the other side of that one.
Right,
I take the other side, and what do I win if I win?
Nothing.
You're putting all these things out. So what do I win if I win?
It's like I think we should only bet. I only like to bet on things that I have absolute conviction it's gonna this way, and I have a real reason. This one is just more of a wish.
No, just talk.
I'm just talk. It's not everything you have to have conviction. Just my feeling, and I hope that they don't. That's almost where I'm leaning on this.
They're now at a point where they could. They're now at a point where they could show Gen 3, but not reveal the functionality that made it Gen 3. They could mute that out. They could not demonstrate it. So they have options. So let's see what they do. We just want to know where the bot program is relative to it being deployed and doing useful tasks. That's ultimately what we know. The version number is probably going to change every year or every 2 years. Just expect that to happen. So that's not as important as them reiterating the schedule for production bots coming out of the factory and production volume. That's where we can really start doing some of the relative schedules and timescales on volume. So we'll see. I'm looking forward to the shareholder meeting. It's really it's a good time. It's good to see what the company's doing. It's good to be with like-minded people, and I'm looking forward to it. It's usually a great event.
Yeah.
Hopefully I can get invited.
And hopefully it's going to be fun. Like it'll be like everything is positive still at that point, especially the votes.
So
Hoping
here's
that will be.
here's a related question. At what point do we see bot version 17, just like iPhone 17?
Yeah, I don't know. They may start. Yeah, who knows? It's a good question. That's a good
the
point.
different ass? You mean in the back it's...
However it's changed. Yeah.
Yeah.
It might get thinner over time.
We'll come back to the ass comment in a minute, but I was just saying that like if you put two smartphones on a table next to each other, I made this comment multiple times. You put like an iPhone 14 and a 17, 4 or 5, you won't, if you power them up with the same software, you won't notice functionality differences. So yeah, it may not matter, but it will matter because I think for a period of time, there's a lot of work to do on bots, on power consumption, on reliability, on, there's a lot of work to do. There's a lot of things that are not coming out, and Cern knows this. There's a lot of things that are not coming out in these short YouTube clips that are the real challenges these bot makers are fighting right now. So in terms of bot ass, I mean, I don't know where we go with that conversation, Alexandra, but
No, but the
I
whole
could see
thing
it from a
is,
physics
as you
perspective
know,
being meaningful.
yeah, I'm honestly, because I want to dress mine. I mean, obviously, I have to dress mine, right? No, Herbert, this is serious, and it's a little bit like the little girl who has a Barbie. Barbie has never changed of size. You could use your dresses and your coats and your boots and your shoes forever, because whatever. So if the bot remains the same size, the wardrobe that I will have for the bot will always be useful. Now, if they suddenly have something like the Apple now suddenly doing those extended cameras, or how do you call what they did now? I mean, I don't have an Apple phone, so I don't even know the terminology for what they just did. If there's suddenly something sticking out in the back, then your whole wardrobe idea, this doesn't go away. You don't understand the importance of clothes for the bot, right? I am all in that. And I'm not the only one. Do you know that LVMH had a dressed up bot in their shop, in the luxury shop, right, in Miami? And there will be more. There will be designers doing whole lines. And it's actually great because, on a female body, we change, we gain weight, we lose weight, whatever, we get older. The bot, if it's always the same size, you can really invest in good stuff.
Herbert, perhaps it's time for us to announce our bot clothing company.
I wish. And actually, if you did have that, you'd want them to change the size every year. That is where you make more money. Sell each year. Something different.
Now, I'm so worried about the feet. I mean, these feet are just
not
elegant.
Alexandra, the things you worry about.
No, I mean, I'm the only representative of 50% of the population. You never think about the important stuff. Never.
Well.
I think my bot's going to look like when they dressed E.T. up in the movie. They tried to disguise E.T. That's probably what my bot's going to look like. But
will you share your glasses with your bot, Jack? I mean, a bot with glasses.
I mean, if theoretically it won't need it with with the camera system and the adjusting lenses, that can always adjust its prescription real time. But
just for the look. Sunglasses?
Probably. I mean, I would not want to see a bot that looks like me walking towards me, but yeah, maybe could happen.
But I mean, we do understand. Herbert doesn't even get the whole topic. This is a topic, Herbert. I know
the clothing for bots, yeah. And you're worried that they're going to change the shape. Okay, yeah. The feet matter and the ass matters. Okay.
No. While we are at it, will there be a female bot?
For sure.
Yes.
Yeah, he's talked about it. Catwoman bot.
Exactly. And so Catwoman has to be dressed. You're not going to let her run around with the boobs out there.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay.
Herbert, what's this video rated on YouTube?
Do not. Let's move on. Let's go. Move on. You guys have intelligent information to share for Tesla investors? Let's keep on.
Just one final thing on the clothing thing. I posted some time ago now about who's going to sign the shoe contract for Optimus. think about the opportunity for Nike or Adidas or whoever
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
enormous.
to double their potential market over time.
Mhm.
You know, that's actually a funny story because I learned only 2 weeks ago that Ferragamo, which is one of the really high-end luxury shoemakers in Italy, actually started in Santa Barbara, where I live, and started because he did the shoes for Charlie Chaplin and for this whole nascent cinema industry that needed specific shoes for their films. And you see, maybe there is somebody, maybe not in Santa Barbara, who wants to start doing shoes for the bots.
Yeah.
Can't believe we're even having this conversation, right? Because
Oh,
it's
come
no
on,
longer
we'll
just
talk
a
about
joke.
something else than about your driver or riders, whatever you're talking about all the time.
No, I meant to say that it's like it's no longer this thing that's like far future. It's actually a reality, and we can have to start
Yeah,
thinking about these
we're
kind of
addressing
things
them.
now.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
The
normally I
accessories
would have
business.
because sometimes I hear from couples going, "Oh, we're watching the Cyberbulls at home, me and my wife, whatever." I'm talking to all your wives out there. Tell your husbands this is part of the story too. We want this to be part of the story too.
Well, one of the big points you've been making, which is actually really smart, you've been saying that the people who really want robotaxi is females, and that's
Of
actually
course.
right. Yeah.
I really do. And I think actually FSD adoption rates, where people really paying their monthly subscriptions going up, we will see a higher portion of female than male. Because first of all, women have no, I try to be polite here, no status symbol in
Careful.
being, yeah, exactly. I was going somewhere where I don't want to go. Have no status symbol linked on being a good driver. While all the guys out there, I don't know one guy who doesn't think he's a good driver, right? They all think they are good drivers, and they all think that all other drivers out there are bad drivers, right? This is the stereotype of a guy. I'm a good driver. All these idiots out there are not good drivers. Women don't have this. Okay, so for a woman, it's not about I am good at driving. It is, oh, this is safe. Oh, this is easy. Oh, this is comfortable. And those are the criteria a woman values much more than the status symbol of being a good driver. She doesn't have to come down from, oh, I'm a good driver. Maybe the car is not driving more. I don't want the car being a better driver than me, right? This is a whole male thing. And so I do believe that women will very quickly understand the benefit of it. The time they win, I mean, once it's unsupervised and they can just send the car to pick the kid up at school, this is going to be a much easier to adopt tool for women than for men. And I stand by that. And I get a lot of flack for it, but I still stand by it.
Good point.
No, I think you're right. So I don't have any quick fire questions prepared, but I've got one.
Herbert, are you a good driver?
Yeah.
Herbert, are you a good driver?
I've been driving for 40 years, and I've not ever had an accident.
Oh yeah,
and I'm a defensive driver. So is that a good driver?
Sure. And are those drivers out there good drivers, or are they idiots?
I don't have road rage. I've always I don't really respond to other drivers how they drive. I'm just always trying to slow down. Okay, you go ahead of me. Yeah. I used to be a fast driver before, but I've completely changed years ago. So right, because it's patience.
You're ready. You're getting ready for FSD.
I enjoy FSD so much. In fact, I think FSD drives better than I do because it actually does drive faster than I normally would. So, not that I'm a slow driver.
You have
by
it
the way.
on,
Just be clear.
On what level do you use?
Yeah.
On what level do you use?
I love hurry, but my wife does not like it, and then so she wants me to put it on chill, and so we settle with standard.
Okay, same here. Same. And you, Cern?
Same questions. I was ready for FSD until I got my Cybertruck. The Cybertruck is so much fun to drive. It's a battle for me to let FSD drive or have, I'm driving it myself. That's a tough one for me. But on a long trip, I love having FSD. It's a game changer.
Am I a good driver?
Yeah, and do you use FSD?
I mean, I'm a good driver when I'm not getting cut off by a bad driver.
Oh, road rage. Road rage.
No road rage. I like to drive. I mean, I like to drive, but I prefer the FSD experience 100%. As soon as I get in the car, it's set it and go. But yeah.
Quick fire question. So we all have named our Teslas except for Jeff, or he refuses to tell us the name of his Teslas. I think he's named them. He just won't tell us. Would you guys name your bots? And what name do you think you'll name your bot?
Herbert.
Do not. Of course, you will name your
Oh,
bot. That's
Cern,
almost.
I love it.
No, you
The butler.
don't.
Herbert the butler.
I'm your slave, right? Herbert,
Yeah.
give me a glass of beer.
Oh my God, perfection.
It can download. It can probably download. You know, with AI, it can download your voice,
My voice.
Oh,
You
no.
don't want to hear
Download
my
your
voice. Come
laugh.
on, it's terrible.
everything.
Yes,
then I-
CERN. Right away, CERN. At your service, CERN.
Mm.
Herbert, make me a sandwich. Oh wait, are we recording? Sorry.
What a terrible question. I set myself up for this one. Okay,
Oh.
fine.
I love this one. I love this one. Nobody can cut this because we need to get this out. Cern, perfect. Perfect. Can we pass it next question now?
Yeah.
Are you-
No,
how-
that's the only question I have. I think we're done. Oh my gosh. Wonderful. Thank you guys for helping me today. I lost my internet access, and thank you for carrying the show. Appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.
We
Bye.
made
Thanks,
it.
Herbert.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Bye.
I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.